Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is, in fact, the fallout of Bound for Glory, Impact Wrestling's preeminent event, and the last Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory events. But we'll get to that. I'm your host, as always, Chad Clark. Joining me is Marcus Green. Marcus, how are
Good, man. It was a hell of a weekend. Very interesting, probably the most interesting time, maybe in the last decade or so, to be an Impact Wrestling fan right now.
you? You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. We are fresh off the tails of a very good Bound for Glory. I wouldn't say the greatest Bound for Glory, but maybe. I thought the Knockouts title match was fine. I'm not crazy on the 20-person intergender call your shot gauntlet battle royal for Bound for Glory. I don't think this needs to be an annual thing on the show. I don't like that we had the Knockouts tag titles pushed to a dark match, which I haven't seen yet because they just released it on the website. Now, what I will say to this, and I'm not against the idea. If you sit here and say, listen, we're going to have 2 to 3 free matches from Bound for Glory up on the website, either live because it's a dark match, so you just air them on the website. That's cool. Do that, but don't just not do that. Like, actually tell people, remind people, show people, so that we can watch them when they're live. I would have rather seen the Knockouts Tag Team titles and the Digital Media Championship match at Bound for Glory rather than watch the one tag title match on Impact and watch Tommy Dreamer Steve on Access. But here we are. Most of my disappointment comes from that match, the Call Your Shot. We'll get to that. First and foremost, we had Hall of Fame speeches, really good ones. 2 of them, Tracy Brooks, and then of course we had we had Mike Tenay on behalf of Don West. The 3 of them went in to the Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame, and truly this is outside of Abyss, right? I'm trying to think of who else has been inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Jeff, right?
Well, Jeff, yeah. Like, there's been a bunch, but like outside of Abyss, I think Tracy Brooks might be the first non-wrestling legend and Impact specific legend to go in. Because the first one was Sting, then Kurt Angle, then Team 3D, Earl Hebner, Jeff Jarrett, I think, then Abyss, Ken Shamrock, Raven. So who's who? But all of them, save for Tracy Brooks, made their name outside of Impact Wrestling, outside of the promotion. Now, of course, like I may be forgetting someone, so I'm trying to see. Let me pull this up. Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame. Let's just get this right. No reason to rush this. So Sting, Kurt, Jeff Jarrett, Earl Hebner, Gail Kim, Abyss, Ken Shamrock, Awesome Kong, Raven. All of them have, save for Abyss, made their name outside of Impact. So, well, I guess you could say Awesome Kong to an extent, but Awesome Kong was also very big in Japan, which is why Impact was interested in it. So I would say if you want to classify Awesome Kong, that works. But like Team 3D, Mike Tenay, they all made their names outside of wrestling, or outside of Impact. So Tracy, truly the first and only Impact knockout to come up and make her bones in Impact, because much as I love Awesome Kong, she was also in WWE, she was in AEW. Granted, neither of those spells were worth a damn. But she was huge in Japan for a while, so I'm not going to count her, but I don't think there's a name in this Hall of Fame that doesn't deserve to be in it. Which we can't say about the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
we really can't.
Yeah, and we talked about it before. The Impact has yet to miss with their picks. The WWE is kind of like you know, like throwing a hot dog and down the hallway. Just just all over the place. Over time it's like, oh no, that makes 100% sense, and then it's like, oh, y'all just needed to fill spots this year.
And we haven't had one in 19 or 2019 or 17. 2017 and 2019 there was no inductees, but every other year there's been somebody. And I'm glad that they got through that lean time and they're back at it. Tracy's speech was fine. She thanked her husband, who was sitting front and center with their son. She thanked ODB, who was in the back of Frank Kazarian on the stage watching, and it was cute. It was cute, and it was nice, and it was something that I think a lot of people truly did enjoy. So that made me happy to see. Then we move on, and we get Mike Tenay's. Mike talked a lot about his good friend Don West, who has passed away, and he referenced the fact that in the 90s, Don West was parodied by Will Ferrell on an episode of Saturday Night Live that featured Robert Downey Jr. as the host. So that was a big kind of moment for them. They talked about how Don West won everybody over. And there's a part of me that's angry at Dave Meltzer because a few times in his Wrestling Observer magazine, he allowed people to say Don West was the worst announcer in the history, or not in history, but in the year to year. And I don't know how you can say that about Don West when he was arguably one of the better announcers going year to year.
It's interesting you say that because I think West, should I say Mr. Snade, mentioned it because he had came from he was a salesman for baseball?
Sports memorabilia and just the home shopping network in general.
Yeah, so the outlandishness that came with his sales approach, if you will, I guess, today talked about how that didn't necessarily, that clashed against fans when he first came in and was, at the table because they felt like it came off a little too, I guess, pronounced, and it was overdoing it, and then, it evolved later. So with the Meltzer thing, I think so much of his particular audience is just so honed to a particular narrative or whatever that, even if the man had evolved doing a great job, they was never going to admit it anyway, probably.
Yeah, and Don West was never a bad announcer. I will say that when they started to do the heel Don, it didn't work in 2009. That was not good. Although it did give us some really great moments. I think he called Mike Tenay like a kiss ass at one point, or a sycophant, and like it was cheeky and fun. Losing him on commentary is one of the worst things to happen to the promotion because he was such a fan of what he was watching, and he wasn't like a wrestler who knew the ins and outs. He was just a dude that liked the dumb shit that he was watching. And that's what you want from an announcer. That's what you want from somebody who knows what they're watching is special. Taz took over for a while, and he was just the worst, and he remains the worst. And like he was never good. Like it wasn't like one of those where there was a time when Taz was really good. Like JBL. JBL when he first retired was hilarious. I forgot what match it was, but he was talking about how if somebody bumps into him again, he's going to dig up Johnny Cochran and sue their ass. That was great. Bully, maybe even a borderline racist. That's hyperbole and speculation, not a statement of fact. But like he was a bad person, but he was hilarious at times. So, that is what it was. Mike Tenay, though, to his credit, did get nominated and won a few best announcers while with TNA. 02, 03, 04, and 05, he was the best announcer in wrestling. As he should have been. He was great. The segment where he was watching Raven get scalped, and he says, "This is bullshit. This is bullshit, and it shouldn't be happening. I've lost my objectivity, and I don't care." Like, hello once again from ringside, like, just fantastic, just amazing. He brought baseball announcing to wrestling, which is why I love Matt Stryker, and you really can't get much better than that, truthfully. So
Yes. It's interesting. I think to your point, real quick. To Mr. Tanay also mentioned talked about Don has just a natural enthusiasm that he had never met somebody. I guess with that much of a zeal and zest. Just as a personality. So, to your point about him being healed, it probably went uh 100% against that because the best moments with them together was them getting an a-hole coming to them and messing with them on commentary, not having an a-hole on commentary.
mm-hmm.
So that working with Taz, the one thing I specifically always appreciated about Taz was he would break down the whys of something. Like particularly when it was a particular hold, he break down why it's better to have your hands done a certain way instead of clasped because it provides a better grip and stuff like that. So I always appreciated that. But yeah, personality wise, it was a cardboard, piece of wet cardboard, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, he only really gave us one great moment in wrestling history, and that's when he called Brock Lesnar a vanilla gorilla in the pages of WWE magazine, and then brought it over with him to television. Because he is a vanilla gorilla. I love that nickname. So with that said, let's get to the actual show itself. We had a new setup, new ring, same stage. It's whatever. But the hard cam was on the fans, and on one hand, I really don't like the hard cam being on the stage because it feels like the pandemic years, and I don't think there's anything worth watching in the pandemic years other than Wrestle House. So I don't want to be reminded of the pandemic, but on the flip side, it does make it feel bigger and more important when they start doing crowd shots, like the hard camera shots on the crowd during the major events, like the Impact Plus events and Bound for Glory. So it does. I do understand what they're doing. I don't know if it makes a big enough difference for me to have to sit through the hard camera arena shots. I'd rather them do a hard camera shot on the back of the crowd than do a hard camera shot on the opposite end. That's just a personal opinion. And I see some people complaining about it online as well, so I know I'm not the only one. But that said, Marcus, what do you think of the ring setup and the general look and vibe of the arena?
I dug it. I liked it. Only thing, sometimes, and it's just a personal thing because we've spent so much time this year, particularly like the middle to back half of the year, in that particular arena. I kind of wish they would have like went somewhere else for the biggest show, but I get it, and it also coincides. I mean, it's Don West's hometown, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, so it all worked between Don West's hometown and um, other elements played into stuff throughout the show with it being in Chicago, Trend debut in Chicago and other stuff or whatever performance. So I like it. I don't know. I think I got hung up over that year they went to Texas.
For Slammiversary 2012,
Yeah,
when James Storm debuted to end Crimson's undefeated streak, we all, well, I shouldn't say we all. I was hoping for Goldberg.
yeah. It just had that feel that you want for a big show. But yeah. I mean, look, the ring looked great. It kind of, ironically enough, it harkened back to days of old, which may have been a big hint for what was coming later. With the ring. So
So the arena they were in has also been used by MLW when they've been in Chicago, and I think it's a great little arena. If you're looking to not have to worry about copious amounts of money for renting out a venue, I think you do a great job with a venue like that. Yeah, there's like 2,500 people. There may have been more, but real nice. It was real nice to see. Made me feel like the 2006 venue, the CompuWare Sports Arena in Detroit, or Plymouth Township, I should say. with the main event being Sting versus Jeff Jarrett for the NWA World's title. So like the vibe is starting to come back. Like the feeling is starting to come back, and I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, the crowd was good crowd. It was sold out. That was great. Um, yeah, like you said, the entrance way, the way the ring looked, it just felt like all the vibes, the energy, the aura was it was right for the event.
It definitely had the right energy for what we were going for. So I applaud that. All right. So with that said, let's talk about the first match. It was Kenta versus Chris Sabin. Real who's who of lightweights, X Division open weight talents over the last 20 years. Um, for Kenta, he built the Noah light heavyweight division. He was like the big name there, and he even took his name from his idol, Kenta Kobashi. There's a Kobayashi. Yeah, it's Kenta Kobashi. He's Kenta Kobayashi. So seeing Noah's X Division equivalent coming in to face off with Impact's X Division Ultra Star, real cool. Nice little match. They played off of each other very well with Kenta, just pissing off the crowd and doing everything he could to make them angry. Sabin using more speed and technique and kicks, while Kenta using more forceful strikes, smacks, open hand palm shots. Just a lot of brutal offense. They had a nice one was beauty, one was brooding kind of dichotomy, and it really paid off. I think in them trying to tell a story with how different styles can clash with one another. Um, Kenta, of course, pissed off the entire crowd by going for the go to sleep, which is, of course, CM Punk's move, and then opting not to do it, and then flipping everybody off. That was hilarious. At the end, though, Sabin's able to get the win and retain the belt. Marcus, thoughts?
I dug it. Good, great stuff. Saban being an X Division legend, kicking off the show. Uh, as Impact historically does with X Division affair, but this was singles. Great stuff. Cool to see Kenta back. Uh, they really got into it. In my mind, I think there's another gear they could kick into if they want to run it back. But this was good, solid, great way to start off the show. And of course, thankfully our boy Saban continues to reign as the king of the X Division.
As he should. Sabin is arguably the greatest X Division wrestler of all time. He and Alex Shelley are in their peak prime as champions of the brand. So I think with all things being even, this is a great thing.
Yeah.
We had
And
a
real
what's that?
and real quick, correct me if I'm wrong. Has in his 10 title reigns has he held every version of the X Division Championship?
I want to say no because I don't think he held the blue version of the X Division title. Um, they've had like 6 or 7 designs, so like it's hard for me to say because they had a blue, so they had the original, right?
Yeah,
Then they had the
yeah.
more gaudier design. Then they had the elongated blue and elongated green, and then they had.
Hmm.
Let me see if I can find.
I want to say he has because they showed him with the blue one.
Yeah, I don't think he held the elongated green though.
Okay.
So the second was more of a world title looking belt, more grander, more oblong. They held that until 2013, I think. And then there's the green one that Tigre Uno held. There was the blue one that had the Impact um, bar over the sticker. Now I want to say there was a blue version of the oblong green one that Tigre Uno is holding, but I may be wrong. And I want to say there was a blue version of the current belt that we have right now.
Yeah, I think there was a blue version of all the ones because the brand was it was rock and blue at first, and then they switched it to red, which was ultimately the better decision because it just pops better on the titles. Um, which they've completely grown on me, which was even more of an interesting thing once you get to ultimately the end of the show. But you will get there.
So it says here that in 2007 they changed it from the classic to the newer rounder design. Then in 2013 they switched to a more oblong design with blue accents to match the color scheme of the company. And then in 2015 they changed the accents from blue to green. In 2017 it was given a overhaul because it was supposed to be the Global Force Wrestling X Division title, and then they slapped a sticker on it. He then got a blue version of the title branded for Impact Wrestling, which is, I think, the same belt we have now. But it's now red, I think.
Yeah, because they did this thing when and that transition from the other Impact to the Global Force back to what they were doing. Like it just had this one thing where they was blue at first and then they switched over to red.
Yeah, so there's been, for the sake of argument, there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different designs. Yeah. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. And now there's an 8th design coming come January, but we'll talk about that in a second. I don't think Saban's held all of them because he was gone for a little while. I know he didn't hold the 2017 design. Let's see. Chris Saban. I hope Chris Saban brings back his old music for this rebranding. So he held the original and he held the new one. Let's see. In 2013, so he probably held the oblong title, probably the blue one. Let's see, was too many boxes. Where are we at? There we go. Then he held it again 2013. He would not hold the belt again until 2020. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hang on. We can count. Hang on. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so the last title, the last exhibition title he held was in December 5th, 2013 before he came back. So that means he didn't hold the green version, the Global Force version, or the blue version. So he's not held 3 of the 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So he's held 4 of the 7 titles. And if he retains the belt heading into January, he'll have held 5 of the 8 brand divisions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
You say he's never held a blue version?
He's never held the oblong green version. He never held the blue Global Force version, and he hasn't held the blue modern version.
Gotcha.
He held the blue oblong X Division belt, and the 2 prior to that. Gotcha. And now, of course, the red ones. So, there you go. All right, with that said, let's move on. We get the Monsters Ball match. I like the Monsters Ball match because it adds a little bit of flavor to a hardcore match. I like the storyline addition of like, oh, they have to be put inside of a room. They're in the room for 24 hours with no food, no water, no light. But I'm hoping at least a commode. And if you get thirsty, well, I guess you need to make some decisions.
It's my own personal lemonade.
So, this was one of those, I feel like they could have added Steve and Dreamer to it and really have made it something unique. I think they shoehorned Moose and Macklin into this, and I don't know why. It was fine. It wasn't a bad match. If you're watching the show, you're not going to skip it. But if you haven't watched the show, I wouldn't say go out of your way to watch it. PCO is very limited in he's a psychopath. Like, he's a lunatic. He's 54, maybe 55. He's 55. He'll be 56 in 2 months. And this motherfucker is like, yeah, I'm not retiring until at least 61. What? Now, truthfully, good on him, because I think if you put PC on a tag team, you could have yourself a real fun tag team. I think he's still. I think he's moving well enough that he can still be something. And he got the win at Bound for Glory when he was supposed to be done with the company. So I'm under the impression that they've agreed to a deal for at least the interim, with the idea of maybe keeping him around long term. So that's cool. Rhino is man. Rhino needs to lose 80 pounds because his knees are shot to shit, and the extra weight's not helping him. Moose and Macklin are great, but I don't view them as hardcore wrestlers. Macklin, maybe if you put him in the right environment. I don't feel like this was the right environment. It was a good Monsters Ball match, but we've seen better. I think part of the problem is you're relying on, Rhino's 48, PCO's 55, Moose is pushing 40. Let's see, he's 48, just turned 48. Moose is 39, he'll be 40 this coming March. So Macklin's your youngest guy, and he's 36. So I feel like this is a young man's game. Granted, the likes of Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk and Mick Foley over the years would make you think otherwise. But I'm telling you, like, you want younger bodies in these matches. Like, think about Bound for Glory 2005. Let's just pull them up real fast, right? So that was 18 years ago. Shit. I hate reminding myself how old I am. The Monsters Ball match featured Rhino, Abyss, Jeff Hardy, and Sabu. So let's just do the math. Rhino's 48 now. 18 years ago, he's 30. Abyss is 50 today. Not today, but August 4th. 18 years ago, he's 32. Jeff Hardy is 46. 18 years ago, he is, 28? Did I do the math right there? Sabu is 58. 18 years ago, he's 40. So you had one dude pushing 40. Everyone else was pretty young. And that, right, in my opinion, is still the best Monsters Ball match, money for money. Get some younger bodies. That's all I'm saying. PCO gets the win. Marcus, any thoughts on the Monsters Ball match and the craziness that was?
I dug it. I dig it. Like you would like the concept, particularly with the keeping them contained for 48 hours, 24 hours.
24 hours.
24 hours, yeah. Good stuff. And it played into each of these men, particularly with Macklin and also the PCO because of their already particular psyches with their background. Yeah, but it was good. It was fun. What you expect from this type of match, and obviously, the thing I found interesting about Macklin, he can somehow juggle multiple feuds while maintaining a singular goal, which is interesting. So now he got this, rightfully so, because they was kind of like oil and water to begin with. But I'm glad they kind of circling back to it being a beef, this thing between him and Bully. Because he kept seeing him get, I guess, because Bully was winning the battles, but PCO ultimately won the war. Now, Macklin's called him soft, Bully's taking that personally, and now he's interfering in his affairs, and we kind of know how that's going to end. So I wonder if this is going to... He could almost have a individual Monsters Ball, a piece with Rhino and Bully, of course, to your point, because of, obviously, age. Father Time has beaten both of their ass, so that'll be severely limited. But both of these shoes are elevated because obviously Rhino's got unfinished business, and at this point, most of Bully's matches are going to be probably hardcore. So, yeah.
Hardcore country. So, moving on to the tag title match. This was short and kind of part of the reason why I think they cut the Knockout Tag Team title, because like everything else was just taking up too much time. ABC defeated the Rascals. Not a bad match, but with the athleticism of all four men involved. I think I speak for everyone. I say that it would have been a lot better had they been given 15 minutes. I don't think you need to go buck wild with them, but I do think that the Rascals winning the belts and then losing them 55 days later, not great. As much as I like Ace and Austin, or Ace Austin and Chris Bay as individuals, as a tag team, I don't feel like they're that great. They're lacking. They're not. They're not. I don't want to say that they're lacking charisma, but they're lacking that oomph as a tag team that makes you want to watch them. Like, they don't have great chemistry with each other with promos, if that makes sense. Like, I feel giving them a manager or a tertiary individual to help accentuate who they are would be a good thing for them long term. I think the name is terrible, ABC. I've tried to warm up for it. I just can't. It's not good. So yeah, they have limitations, and I was hoping we'd see more from the Rascals going forward. And personally, I want Bay and Austin to enter the main event scene. But if rumors are abound about some names joining the company, we'll talk about one here in a minute. And with Bailey being another name, it's like is there even room in the main event scene right now? Not the biggest named era of all time for this company, but certainly the best talent in the main event scene we've ever seen. So it's a sticky wicket. What do you do with guys like Bay and Austin when you have so many great main eventers ahead of them? I don't know. Good thing I don't need to figure this out. Marius, thoughts on the tag team title match?
Good, loved it. I mean, for what I feel like they tried to pack in stuff that they would have did with an expansion of 15 minutes. But yeah, you give those if they give time to them the way that they gave time to Edwards and Kazarian on an Impact, that's gonna be an instantaneous MOT, uh, MOTY, I should say. But yeah, solid stuff. Great. I put these two teams against most in the industry.
I would too.
Um, yeah, so it's cool to see. And I think when it came to the Rascals losing, I think with all the matches and the way that they won all those matches, it's just the narrative kind of had to get flipped on them, where they got to come up and because obviously the spray came into play and it backfired, and then that ultimately led to the pin. So we may potentially see a lot of. I hate hot pocket titles switching, but we may potentially see them get it back. Um, Potentially, I don't know. Like I said, I think the gig is up the hijinks with the spray at this point. So um, we'll see. They do have a contractually obligated rematch. So
We'll find out what happens. So with that said, we move on to what many people will probably argue is the match of the night. And listen, not wrong. What I will say, however, what needs to be said, is that as good as any of these matches are, Eddie Edwards versus Frankie Kazarian in a 2 out of 3 falls match might be the match of the year. Even with everything we saw at Bound for Glory. And it's, again, one of those reasons why I'm, one, mad that they don't do a 4-hour Bound for Glory, because I would watch a 4-hour Bound for Glory. And two, mad that they gave 30 minutes to a dumb Battle Royal when Frankie and Eddie should have had this slot. So, just kind of how I feel. But, that said, holy God, this match. No, that's about right. They did a spot near the end, and I think he called it the Meteor Shower, or Meteora Shower, where it was the hell was it? It was a perfect plex from the top rope. And then Bailey rolled over on top of Ospreay before it contacted. I need to rewatch it because I still don't know what happened.
yeah, no, that's it. That's what because I seen it on Twitter. That was one of my favorite moves because sometimes when your stuff ain't working, you got to come up with other stuff. But I think that was I think it was that was how it's supposed to be executed. A perfect plex that had a extra rotation on it. Um, which it sounds like something you would need to do to pull out to take out Will Ospreay, Jesus. But yeah,
can we handcuff Mike Bailey to like a 40-pound, 50-pound, 190-pound boulder for the rest of the year? The boy's knees are gonna be gone. Like, he's not young either. Like, he's not old by any means, but he's 33. We gotta protect this boy. Like, we can't let this dude keep messing like with his knees, because like, who knows what's gonna happen? Like, he's so talented, and like, he just looks at his knees going, "Oh, I'll destroy them. That's okay." No. Oh, what a match, though. Oh, what a match. Marks, any thoughts on the Osprey Mike Bailey match?
Yeah, man, you know me. You know me for a significant amount of years now. You know for a fact that I'm not even a smoker. But I definitely needed a cigar after this match. We got to the point watching this where I just kept both my hands on my head and just kept my mouth open because I was sitting back there. What in the hell am I? Like, this is a different level. Until your point about that boulder, if we did have him attached to the boulder, freaking Osprey hidden bladed him, would have hidden bladed him off of it, going for that damn cyclone kick, which was certainly a moment of the match. But yeah, man, this was 5 stars across the board. Osprey is, that moniker of being the best in the world is not it's not a long debate. Bailey is certainly on that list, right close up on him. And this was yeah, this was just special. This is a match that we could talk about till we both blue in the face, and it still won't do it no justice. People just got to go back and watch it. Yeah.
Truly a selling point. And now there's rumors banding about, could 2024 be the biggest year in company history since 2006? Because, and we're going to segue here into some rumorville. Osprey himself is like, I'm a free agent in 2024. Impact's on my short list. Now, that's not like a Mike Johnson or a Dave Meltzer rumor. That's out of the Billy Goat's mouth.
Yeah, man.
And one certain California Marmalade Punk was backstage at the TV tapings last night. Now, he wasn't doing anything that we're aware of. There was no vignette shot or anything to hype up his debut. Should he debut? He was there because his good friend Ace Steel works for the company now. He was also there because he likes wrestling, and Impact's good at the wrestling, and Impact was in town, so he showed up and said, "Hey, what's up?"
No, okay, I was, hoping he wasn't potentially intimidating the CEO or whatever.
Well, Tony Khan gets intimidated by Twitter trolls, so not the strongest of backbones on that one. So it's one of those things, though, where they really seem to be investing into TNA or Impact at the moment, I should say. And with all the hullabaloo around what's coming in 2024, which we'll get to, though if you've been paying attention to the news, you already know what we're alluding to. Bringing in Will Ospreay and CM Punk in the same month for next year would be monumental, especially when it seems that CW and some other networks may be looking at wrestling content to bolster their brands. Now, apparently the NWA is going to be airing on the CW, which I think is interesting. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know if they're going to be showing up on like Sundays at 2 a.m. or Mondays at 2 a.m. But the idea is that they're going to pop up on there. But who's to say that they don't keep looking for more sports? Because that's what CW is going towards. They have ACC football, I think, if I remember correctly. They have other sporting rights. They have Live Golf. I think they may have tennis. So like, they're trying to build a sports portfolio. They're the home of ACC football and basketball. They're homes of Inside the NFL, which was an HBO show, if I remember correctly, and of course, Live Golf. So, yeah, there's something coming in 2025. The exclusive home. I have to disable my ad blocker, which I'm not going to do. So I'm just going to go to Microsoft Edge and put the URL back in. Because I refuse. Will become the exclusive home to the NASCAR Xfinity Series, extending through the 2031 racing season. And now, granted, I don't know what the Xfinity Series is because I haven't watched NASCAR since I was in middle school. I think Jeff Gordon might be a thing. But I want to say the Xfinity Series is the main hub of NASCAR at the moment. Let's see. Is it stock car racing? It is promoted by us. Oh, okay. It's the second tier to the Cup Series. So, all right, not the biggest, but still impressive, right? Like they are building a nice grouping of sports for CW. So why not Impact? You get CM Punk, you get Will Ospreay, you're going to open up a lot of doors. Certainly, you're going to open up a lot of doors, especially like with certain networks that have CM Punk. Because here's the thing: by all writs and accounts, it looks like SmackDown will be leaving Fox with the next set of tapings, with the next not the next set of tapings, with the next set of contracts. If that's true, Fox may be like, "Hey, Impact, what's up?" And if that happens, oh boy, especially with CM Punk on it, oh boy. I'm not saying it'll be bigger than 06 when they. Well, I shouldn't say 06, but the 1 year calendar that was October 2005 to September 2006, because you had Team 3D, Sting, Christian Cage, and Kurt Angle all pop up at the same time within 11 months of one another. That's still the biggest influx of talent I've ever seen in Impact history. But Will Ospreay and CM Punk in the same month, that's going to push it. That's going to be a challenge. That's going to be a challenge. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's pipe dreams. But I think Mike Bailey's every bit as good as Will Ospreay. I don't think Impact has anyone on the level of CM Punk for promo standards. But then again, I don't think anyone does, because he's in a company all along his own. Like, it's like saying, well, who's the next Roddy Piper? You don't go looking for the next Roddy Piper. You just hope to God you find one. So Punk, if he comes in, great. Big boost to the brand. Big boost for everything. Apparently there's interest. How much interest? We don't know. Sources say that if he wants to wrestle the Machine Guns or Josh Alexander, it'll happen. Like he'll get those matches, but people are unsure if he'll be interested in joining the brand. It would be a step down in terms of scope. I know a lot of people are like, well, WWE is bigger than AEW. If you watch shows that CM Punk was on, I think it'd be fair to say that not by much when he was with AEW. So it'd be a step down. Would he be all right with that? I don't know. I don't think they could pay him. I don't know how much he was earning in AEW. Let's say it was $5 million. I don't think you could afford that. He was making a lot of money. I think maybe $500,000 would be about as much as you could throw at him. Would he come in for that? I don't know. That's up to him. But I think there's a chance, Marcus. I think there's a chance. And man, if they land both Ospreay and Punk, that would be awesome. As long as they don't lose guys like Hendry and Speedball and Bay and Ace and the Rascals, I'd be happy about that. Do you think Punk and Ospreay are realistic at this point, Marcus?
Well, Osprey more so than Punk, because I just think that's just at this point with Punk, because I'm not as invested. Like, I want it to happen for the notoriety and just the collective company suck it that will be aimed at the internet as it implodes. as I stated before, which would be the funniest thing. Like it'll be the death day of the internet for those these tribalist flat scans that um, only associate success with certain brands. So just for the implosion alone, and be able to sit back like oh boy from Simpsons and go excellent as the
Mr.
fire
Burns.
rages yeah, as burns as it burns as the IWC burns. Um,
Smithers,
as they pull
are
out
they booing me? No, no, Mr. Burns. They're saying boo earns. Boo earns. They're chanting your name. Oh, 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 wonderful, wonderful.
Boo earns hilarious. Um, yeah, that'll put them in the driver's seat, and certainly, man, and talk about instantaneous eyes because for as much as they hate on it, they tune in
Mm-hmm.
because they're addicted to the things that they so called hate. So, and then you follow that with Osprey, who I think is far more likely to be able to come in, if not for like you said on the short list. I think the list is even shorter after that night, after BFG, after that show stealing match. Not his first time available, certainly one of the best. I would imagine. I haven't seen the other matches, but that felt like one of their best. If that was their worst, Jesus. Um, so uh, yeah, and I mean also, I would imagine. I mean, his style alone beats him up a lot, but just the travel and he's the New Japan UK champion or whatever.
It's
Uh,
the U.S. title,
gotcha, gotcha,
but he's calling it the U.K. title now.
gotcha, gotcha. But yeah, so but imagine lighten that load, get a nice berth of competition because he's had a hell of a year, specifically a summer, and then capping it out like this is not bad. But he, like you said, it's been from the horse's mouth. From everything he said in interviews and the stuff that he's tweeted. Um, and the fact that he said it that the OG TNA is what got him into wrestling in the first place. What got him wanting to be a wrestler in the first place. I mean, it seemed like stuff was lining more up in that corner. But like I said, even though I'm not a big Punk enthusiast, and I don't if he never wrestled again, I wouldn't lose no sleep. Like I said, the collective crotch uh, shop that the TNA would be giving everybody else if he came in, it'd be hilarious to see. But like I said, I think the reward here is just that these options are even possible because you go back to years ago and that would have been what we just talked about would have been absolutely fodder to for a joking segment on the show. So, but it's saying of what the 75 cent percentile are actually happening on both ends.
Now, it's impossible to know for sure what Punk was making in AEW. Some
Mm.
reports say he was making 3 million. Others, higher. Others lower. If he was making 3 million a year, and he was and apparently that's 15 times more than anyone in Impact. On the lower end, that's 200K. I know for a fact some guys are making far more than 200K a year for Impact. So I don't think it's out of the
But
realm of possibility that they could at least come up with a figure of like 750 to 1 million.
quick question: do you think at this stage of the game that he would absolutely take a pay cut for peace?
Well, I think he would take a pay cut for peace. That's one. But also, I think he'd be taking a pay cut for shows because he wouldn't have to do 50 or 60 or 70 shows a year. Think about it. Impact tapes 2 shows, or I think like 2 to 4 shows. It's not usually 2 shows per taping, and I think that might be how they're doing. So 52 weeks a year. Let's just do the math. So 52. Assuming they film 2 weeks worth of shows. Maybe they film 3. Maybe they film 4. That's 26 dates. We'll add on 6 Impact Plus events and 4 pay-per-views. That's less than 40 dates a year he'd work. So he's working a third of the shows that he'd work for AEW, but he's also making a third of the money. So I feel like it balances out. if you can get them for 30 shows or 25 shows and get them for 2 or 3 years, I think you do that. Because I think Impact's roster is so much built around um, coming together and um, putting forth good work and highlighting the possibilities that can come with this new company or this new kind of era. Like, everyone's in it together. Unlike AEW, unlike WWE, who very much feel like it's us versus them, even in the locker room. I think he'd fit in very well. And according to the report from, who was it? House, Daniel House, Stephen House, David House, uh, House of Wrestling. I don't know who he is. I know of him. Let me just get his full name. Because like, this is obviously a person. I don't want to be wrong about this. I think David House is a singer, actually. Well, anyway, House of Wrestling, Haus. They're saying that he talked to anyone who wanted to talk to him, but he was mostly hanging around with quote unquote key Impact talent, which makes me think they were going full court press trying to get him. Because Josh Alexander, Eddie Edwards, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, Eric Young, Frank Xarian, they know if they land CM Punk, they all benefit. So there's no reason not to bring him in. And I think that is the way to go. Now, we did get some names debuting at Bound for Glory. We had Matt Cardona back. He came in with the Call Your Shot Gauntlet Battle Royal at Bound for Glory. We had, let's see. So let's cut over. We had Jake Something come out, then Eddie Edwards, Kenny King, Juventud Guerrero returned to the company. He's 48, just in case anyone's wondering. He's been around for a while. He'll be 49 this year, so he's a little bit older than Rey Mysterio. Still looks great though, and he was sober, which he wasn't in WCW. Because if you know anything about Juvi's history in American Pro Wrestling, he got fired from WCW because he got arrested in Australia or New Zealand. I think it was Australia. While running around downtown somewhere or another, buck-ass naked. Fucking legend, that is Juvi Guerrero. Let's see. WCW. During a tour of Australia, Guerrero was arrested at a hotel in which the wrestlers were staying after an incident in which he was discovered naked and screaming in a hallway and then attacking police officers who arrived to detain him. According to the 2000 book, The Death of WCW, Guerrero was reportedly under the influence of PCP at the time. Ooh, I thought he was just drunk. Guerrero was expelled from the remainder of the tour and later released by WCW and was ordered to pay nearly $1,800 in fines. So it's good to see Guerrero back and healthy and sober. So kudos to that. Love me some Hoopy. And he'll of course be on the TV show Impact here this week. He's going to be teaming up with Black Taurus and was Laredo Kid and maybe even Samurai del Sol to take on the Rascals. I thought it was a 3-on-3, but now I'm thinking maybe a 4-on-4, and I don't know who the fourth member of the Rascals is going to be, but maybe it's just a 3-on-3. We're going to find out. After Hoovy, Johnny Swinger came out, Giselle Shaw, then Jody Threat, then Kylan King. And then we got our another, this time it wasn't a return, it was a debut. It was Sonny Kiss, who I have zero affinity for. Athletic. Kiss is very athletic, though I find their wardrobe to be not for me. It's a bit rough, and apparently he's going to, or they're going to, I don't want to misgender Kiss. I don't know what Kiss is. They identify as gender fluidness, so there you go. They wrestle Trinity on Impact, and I'm just thinking to myself, that didn't need to be a thing. But here we are. I'm not a big fan of intergender wrestling, and Sonny Kiss kind of blurs that line, just like Jordan Grace does. So I get why they bring him in, just from a progressive standpoint. You have Giselle Shaw, who's trans. You have non-binary Sonny Kiss, or gender fluid Sonny Kiss. So like, I get it, but I don't think this is the move for Impact. I think they need to find someone who can actually bring in more fans than Sonny Kiss will, because Kiss will appeal to a small group of fandoms, and that's great. But he also may turn some fans off, and that's not so great. It's not right. It's not fair. It's not, something we should be promoting. That someone like Sonny Kiss may upset some fan bases, but Impact needs to make moves that are popular universally or as universally as possible, and I feel like Kiss just isn't it. He's definitely a controversial figure in the wrestling scene, um, and I just don't think he's all that talented, truthfully. Although, hell of a dancer. Do I want to see more of Sonny Kiss in Impact? I'm interested because I think Sonny Kiss could really fit in well with Giselle Shaw's stable. I think there's like something there, and maybe even team up with Jay Vidal. I don't know, one of those, right? I think you might have something there. So I don't know. It's interesting. He's going to be around for a little bit. Apparently, he's going to be a regular with Impact for at least the foreseeable future. So we'll see. Marcus, Sonny Kiss debuted. I have some reservations because I don't think he's talented enough to deal with the possible backlash. But I feel like he might be good enough to raise the profile of like a certain group. Like Jay Vidal, like not Jay, Giselle Shaw's group, which I don't even think has a name yet. They should probably get one now. What do you think about Sonny Kiss coming?
I'm not at all too off from you, but I will say this: it does feel like much like many others we've seen in the past, the opportunity that he thought he would likely get uh, far more consistently when he was in AEW. I feel like he's definitely going to get an impact. Smaller, it's more focused, and we've seen what it's done for Trent. I mean, hell, even somebody like Johnny Swinger gets a lot of TV time. So, while he is talented from a certain perspective, if he has improved in the ring, he'll get to show it. And if that gets toned down, he at least get to show off a lot of personality. To your point, dealing with running into folks like Trinity and Giselle Shaw stable, which I think that's where the money is with him coming in. But I'm intrigued to see what can happen. I don't want to write him off. Um, and much like you said, not to intentionally go off in any negative thing, but he does check off. They check off a lot of boxes.
You can use he or she. There is no
Gotcha,
one universal.
gotcha. He checks off a lot of boxes. And from all accounts, I would imagine somebody like Trent gives him his props. He probably is one of the more better people that'll come through there, which says a lot. I think that's a lot of the camaraderie on that roster has to do with having a high quality of individuals as people on that roster, not just talent. So um, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. Obviously, he is more of a entertainer. Kind of harking back to stuff we got in Lucha Underground and stuff like when we got the smaller wrestlers or the PP Escalada, those situations. But maybe something in Impact what they do with his character can turn up a more aggressive side, and he can find a spot. I think that's the great thing about Impact for a lot of these folks, even when they're quote unquote come to the smaller pond, they just get better spots for them to show what they're actually good at on a consistent basis. So I'm gonna leave some room for that to grow. Didn't necessarily pop when Cardona came out, but it was cool. And who else was it? Hoovy didn't pop for Hoovy too, just because the last time I even recall him was when the stereotype gimmick that they were doing in WWE with the lawnmower. So it was good to see him back. Um, but yeah, call you shot gauntlet. The intergender wrestling thing. To your point, what I think they did the right thing, even with Grace being as sick and jacked and strong as she is. I think they told it well with her going against Bully. Um, but I don't necessarily need to see that on a consistent basis. But I am glad that she got the win. I'm glad that they got a different person winning that thing every year, it seems. I think my biggest takeaway from the match was kind of pissed me off. The people that got eliminated as fast as they did pissed me off because I was like, that wouldn't happen like that. Like I think Jake got dog walked immediately by somebody. I think a lot of these eliminations happened with the edge heads, which I was just kind of shaking my head at, but it's just a booking. So yeah.
Yeah, Matt Cardona and Brian Myers eliminated 3 people together. Something, Kiss, and Kazarian. Individually, Cardona eliminated Eric Young and Brian Myers, and Myers eliminated Rich Swann, Heath, and Joe Hendry. So not great. As far as Kiss goes, the more and more I talk about, it, the more and more I'm interested to see what they do with him. I'm not a fan of his ring gear, but he's in tremendous shape. He's strong as an ox. Like he can do the Scott Steiner shoulder press to dudes about his size, if not bigger. So he's got something, and he's athletic. So I think maybe, and it would really bring Vidal out because he hasn't been doing anything. They're really trying to get him front and center with this group, and I feel like they're not doing enough with him right now. So I feel like that tag team could work, and maybe give him a name. I think that would be something, especially if you then build up a little feud between Kiss and Giselle Shaw over who the real knockout is, or the real diva, or whatever the hell Giselle Shaw is calling herself in terms of like a moniker.
Yeah.
Because I think it's like the real diva or the real knockout.
The quintessential.
Is that what it is? The quintessential knockout?
Yeah, quintessential diva, whatever. Yeah.
So could be interesting. As far as the rest of the Call Your Shot goes, Bully Ray came out. He had a fun little spot with Sonny Kiss.
Yeah.
Matt Cardona came out. He's not sticking around long term, as we know of. We'll see what happens there. Let's see. Then we have Eric Young, Joe Hendry, and Hendry's doing a lot of great stuff with Simon Miller, building up to the Turning Point event. I thought it was real for a second. They got me. I'm glad they got me because I'm excited about this. I'm not a Simon Miller guy, but God, Joe Hendry's work with Simon Miller has been some of his best, so I'm excited about that. Brian Myers, Heath, Frankie Kazarian, Rich Swann, Johnny Gresham, and then Dirty Dango. Dirty Dango went right out as soon as he came in, which I thought was hilarious. Gresham tried to eliminate his wife.
Yeah, I seen it. I didn't. I'll be forgetting sometimes about the connections because, well, particularly that one because that didn't even register me till they called out on commentary. I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, that's right. But I don't know, man. I would have brought it down to a different type of like Final 5 or 4 because I feel like you could kind of hold because the first two was something and Evans, right?
Quintessential diva. We were both right.
Yeah. So, thank you. But yeah, I started with Edwards and something. I would have had them last, and then maybe it would have been Gresham and Jordan, and had that be the final 4, which would have been interesting.
So the final 4 was Bully, Cardona, Kylan, and of course Jordan Grace, who ended up winning it. And then Brian Myers was the 5th, and Jake something was the 6th.
Yeah, it's liable to happen. A lot of stuff can happen in these battle royals with the scramble and everything and taking your eyes off the ball. But yeah, I kind of just would have went a different way. Well, I think the most perfect thing that happened, two of the best things that happened was that spot with Bully and Sonny, and then what they did with freaking Dango. And that's just freaking hilarious.
How do we feel about Oleg Prudius coming in? The former Vladimir Kozlov.
I don't know where that name came from, but
that's his real name.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I still don't know where that name came from.
Oleg Prudius.
Actually, that name does sound like it would have been like he would have been like beefed out with Julius Caesar or something.
Right.
Yeah, perfect.
He was Julius Caesar's bodyguard, Oleg Prudius.
Oleg Prudius, exactly. Or somebody that would have been perfect for that Pompeii movie featuring Kit Harington. Um,
Oh god.
but yeah, interesting, interesting. He still, got the gist for men going, and then got the beard, uh, not the beard, the headbutt thing is still going. So I don't know how long they're gonna do that, but I mean, it works because you got freaking Bravo man came out there dressed like a full freaking traffic cone. Uh,
Marcus, I love it. I know I shouldn't, but I love everything Dirty Dango's doing. I love Alpha Bravo. I love Oleg Prudius. I love the I Hate Wrestling. It's all so good.
it's working.
Uh,
It's working, and it's a lot of it's working because we're not getting a heft of them in the ring or whatnot. A lot of it is being done in those off shoot off color type promos and stuff. So it's good. They just letting them flow, not at all too dissimilar from what I would imagine they got to do with the Fashion Police. Um, Except I would imagine he has a little bit more creativity in it. So yeah, it's working. It's working. I'm not a big Dango fan at all. Like Bravo, Bravo's had a good stint of different creative stuff, and I think adding the big man is just go add another wrinkle to it. So
I would like to see them add R.D. Evans, who's backstage working as a. I don't know if he's a producer or writer. He's working backstage with Impact. I'd like to see him come back as an on-screen character because I feel like he could truly add something to this group. So it needs to be mentioned though. Oleg Prudius is in fact going to be wrestling for Impact now. How long that is and how long those matches are and what that looks like, all up in the air. But I know he does have a tag team match with Dango, and he is part of the roster now too. I also have a series of conflicting reports about his age. Some report him as 51, some report him as 44. Either way, I don't think it matters because I don't think he's gotten any better, but I also don't think he was really that bad either. I feel like he got kind of ramrodded because the fans never took to him, but he wasn't a bad worker. He knew what he was doing. And funny enough, if I remember my history correctly, this is actually the wrestler that caused Jerry Jarrett and Jeff Jarrett to have a falling out for a few years because Jerry was representing Prudius in 2004, 2005, and Impact wanted to sign him. But then he took him to WWE and kind of caused some issues with one another. So I feel like, maybe we're about to get maybe we're about to get some things fixed. Get the Prudius run we always deserved. Jordan Grace wins. I think she announced that she was going to challenge Trinity for the belt at
yep,
Hard to Kill.
yeah, hard to kill. Yeah, she went on ahead and called it. Like the trophy. I don't know if that's it. I don't know if has that consistently been a trophy for the gauntlet.
Maybe.
Um, yeah, look good, liked it. Like what they did with, like I said, how they did the stuff with her and Bully, and then put on all the Grace driver. Like I said, I appreciate the fact that they don't have repeat offenders because I'm sitting up here like if they give it to Bully again, I'm finna walk off of my laptop. Um, but this was perfect and it perfectly lined up with because we called it when she beat Deanna. Like the next logical step is to put her in Trent's path. Because I just don't feel like she'd have too big a problem taking out Mickey. That's just. But this'll be a real big test coming up for Trent. So I'm very much looking forward to that because I think Grace brings a completely different hurdle for her to jump. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. But I think both her and the Moose Man called their shots. So
So yeah, both of them will be cashing in, which means all four briefcases have officially been cashed in because Crazy Steve will cash his in this Thursday on Impact, and then we'll have um, the tag titles were cashed in for Bound for Winter, so should be interesting. Wonder what else is happening at Hard to Kill. Probably nothing important. Then we got the Knockouts tag title match with Trinity and Mickey James. Fine, I think is a good way to describe this. It was fine. Trinity is a very super, very dynamic, very good athlete. Mickey used to be. That's the nicest way I could say that. Mickey's still trying to do things that, even at 35, she wasn't that good at. Of course, that the photo that we're using is her doing the handspring in the handspring arm takeover, which was nice. But one nice moment does not a good match make. It was fine, and I think that's the nicest way I can put it. I don't know if I was underwhelmed because I think Mickey can only give you so much. I don't feel like it was, the best option they could have had, but also they don't treat Bound for Glory as the only show that matters. Clearly, they have eyes on with Hard to Kill. So I get that. I get that tremendously. According to Cage Match, it is the second lowest rated show on the card, just behind the Call Your Shot Gauntlet Battle Royal. Marcus, what did you think of Trinity defeating Mickey James? I know why they did it. Trinity now has a big win over Mickey. That's huge. But in ring wise, not as great as it could have been. But what do you take away from
I'm right with you. I was sitting there and I'm like, everything's working, but I think ultimately it was. I was waiting for it to hit a gear that it just was never gonna get to. And I think to your point, a lot of that had to do with because of Mickey, and not to completely cut her tree down. She's absolutely a legend, and she will one day, I would imagine, be going into that TNA Hall of Fame, no doubt. Uh, Maybe, perhaps, likely before she goes into the Impact. I mean, the WWE Hall of Fame. Um, but yeah, it just like they were hitting all the beats, but that there was a just certain tension level, and um, that I was waiting for that. I just kind of realized, like, no, it's just go kind of not going low, not going high, just staying steady in the middle, and then it got to the finish, and it was fine. The one thing I do appreciate about doing this overall is it does close things out because they needed to close the circle. And they've been really good about this with their storytelling across the board. It's what I continues to brag on when it came to Macklin's thing. Like, she technically had to vacate the title because of injury. So this kind of closed the circle and loop on that, and they did this great thing when they did the big knockouts tag match. When they won, she looked up at the strap, was like, I need to get back what I didn't lose, and like, well, a different ball game now, kid. It's it's on a different type of champion. So while the match was, to your point, it was just solid. It was just it was a piece of business that they needed to handle. Uh, for the character with Mickey, and also I don't think in all the years that they both were in WWE that they ever had a match.
it? I don't think so.
So that was also something, and I think they were both emotional, particularly I think Mickey after the match, because not only she's real proud of Trent and what she's come. Cause she takes. I mean, I think Mickey's the only person to hold the women's. I think she held the Divas and the Knockouts championship. So she's definitely in a league of her own from a lot of different angles. But to me, in her latter years, she's been more valued in Impact, and I think she recognized that. And she honors that, and I think she takes that Knockout championship and what they're doing with it very seriously, which is why I think she had no problem passing that torch to Trent. So yeah, but it's definitely not a match I'll go back and watch. You know.
It is a huge win for Trinity, just in terms of name value. She's had
Yes.
better matches, but she's had worse.
Yeah.
So it's not the worst, but I think they would have done better to have Trinity beat Mickey on a lesser branded show. That's just my takeaway. I'm trying to think. Has Trinity even lost shit in Impact? She lost a tag match, but I don't know if she got pinned. She won a match. Sure not. She's never lost a singles match in Impact, and I don't think she's ever been pinned in Impact. They booked her very strong. Good for them. Main event time: Alex Shelley versus Josh Alexander. We see a really strong match. The one thing I'm a little disappointed with this, it has nothing to do with the in-ring quality. I think Shelley was building up to a very big heel turn that I feel like they stifled for what came next. I get it. He's not a fan of it. That said, like this match. Good match. Not as good as the Ospreay Bailey match, but easily the second best match on the show and definitely lived up to the hype. Alexander loses in a Bound for Glory main event, which I don't think has happened in a while. Correct me if I'm wrong. We know he won last year. He retained over Eddie in another great match. Then in the year before, he beat Christian Cage to win the belt back. Yeah, he beat Christian Cage to win the belt for the first time, and then Moose cashed in. So he has lost a Bound for Glory.
Yeah, like I said before, when last time we talked specifically about that, he holds the record for being the longest and shortest reigning TNA World Heavyweight Champion of all time.
And truthfully, I hate it. They did that with Bryan Danielson, where he won it at SummerSlam and then instantly lost it. I hated it. Hated it then. Hated it now. Still not great. But this, Eddie, Christian, then of course now you have Alex Shelley, just bangers out the door.
Yes, I mean it's the two most. I mean you line up a year where like I think one of these last years we had to really pick like who had more classics, Alexander or Bailey. And I think one of those classes was with each other. So yeah, that's the word you associate with guys like him and Bailey and others. I'm looking forward to seeing potentially they get Gresham off into that group, hopefully. But yeah, I mean Josh really doesn't lose often, if at all. They primarily booked him strong, and should continue to book him strong. Though I don't know. I think he's about to run into Ospreay, who's having a time. So, but if he does lose that day, I don't think he's going to go on the streak. Of course, that could also be a story you tell potentially. Um, has he kind of maybe fallen off since he wasn't able to get the title back or something like that. But to your point about Shelley's potential heel turn, I still think it can happen. I think it played more into this feud because there was that doubt of could he beat Josh? Was he just a placeholder? Is he really, doing too much placating when it comes to the respect game and him being the guy that set the stand up for somebody like Josh, and how much respect should he give him versus just a straight up and down pit through a pissing contest. So I think there's still room for that coming up because Shelley's done a great job of showing these little switches that he has with his mental and emotional state. So I'm looking forward to seeing potentially him playing with that some more because he's very much leaning into the like I'm done holding the door. I'm kicking them shits down. So.
I think we got a very good main event for Bound for Glory. I think we're going to get an even better main event at Hard to Kill with, I shouldn't say better, but equally as good with Shelley and Moose. I don't know what Alexander's going to be doing.
Yeah.
Will Ospreay be here in January? I don't know. He was only booked for this set of shows, so we'll see. But Impact should be fun this week. It's going to be Alexander versus Will Ospreay. Yeah. Now, I don't know. I think they taped 2 weeks of shows. I want to say. So,
yeah.
So it may not be this week. It may be next week.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to do him and Ospreay. I mean, look, he's been bragging on the guy. Talk about, and he said, Ospreay came out and tweeted about something that I've been thinking for the longest, that Josh would kill it in the G1.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's built for that, really. But you're gonna get that. I think we're gonna get Trent and Sonny Kiss. I'm not necessarily looking forward to that because I would imagine it's gonna be like a mid-match booty off, which I'm not looking forward to from one side at least. Um, so yeah, that should be interesting, and just a lot of other angles that that have to play out. So a lot of good energy, particularly coming off into these upcoming shows. Because I'm gonna just let you take this next part away, because I know you were freaking in full Don West mode.
So it does look like they've taped at least 2, maybe even 4 weeks worth of matches for TV because there's a Thanksgiving match here. So makes me think we're not going to get any new content until the end of November, which makes sense considering what's coming in January. Because in January, what's that?
Thanksgiving. That's not the turkey thing, is it?
They're doing a Thanksgiving special match. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How did that make any sense? PCO, Mike Bailey, Jake Something, and Swinger defeated the Good Hand, Champagne Singh. Okay, and Jay Vidal. So it is a Thanksgiving 4-on-4 match with the loser having to wear the turkey suit. So whoever gets pinned has to wear the turkey suit.
Is Swinger in that match?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
But he doesn't wear the turkey suit.
Oh man, that's interesting. Oh, forget it. It's freaking taped, of course. Okay.
So it does look like this will be heading through the end of November, which makes sense because in January we're getting a pretty big return. More details coming tomorrow, apparently. But in January, TNA Wrestling is rebranded back as the company that started all, and they used an updated version of the TNA logo that I think most of us fell in love with. It was the 2005-2006 logo, oftentimes seen over the crowd on episodes of Impact Wrestling from the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida. So that's cool. They did this great little hype video where they showcased all the main talents that they believe are their top guys. Jordan Grace, Alicia Edwards, which, all right, Eddie Edwards, Frankie Kazarian, the Motor City Machine Guns. I think Eric Young was out there. Josh Alexander was out there. None of the heels were out there. So, like, there was no Moose. There was no Steve Macklin. But it was still cool. And, like, all those same names popped up in the video. And they even had, like, Courtney Rush was there. And it seems to be hinting that she'll be returning to her Rosemary form. Because one of the things that I've noticed that doesn't make me sad at all is that there's no Jessica Harris. None.
Oh no.
She's gone.
Oh
Gone
no,
is the
everybody.
heck.
Oh no, everybody. Not
So-
happy, everybody.
Who knows if she's actually gone? But I don't. I'm gonna hit Control G. Yeah. I see none. I see no matches. I don't see anything with Rosemary either, so that's a little disconcerting. But what are you gonna do? This is huge. I don't know. Like I said before, I don't know if this is going to be the thing that catapults the brand back into popularity. Right? I don't know if this is going to be the thing that gets them back on major TV. I don't know if this is going to be the thing that gets them CM Punk or Will Ospreay. But I also know it's not going to hurt because TNA is such a good name. The logo is great. The chants were great. Now, if you know the story, you know that Vince Russo came up with it, thinking that'd be a great tongue-in-cheek thing, or maybe it was Ed Ferrara. I think it was Russo though, with the idea that TNA sounds like tits and ass. So here we are. But they really own that brand, and with it, they developed a flashy, high-impact, athletic brand. Developed a women's division that has been truly the best it's been in decades. Just women's wrestling in general has been on the rise for the last 10, 15 years, ever since, Stephanie McMahon invented it in 2016, 2014. So we're seeing, the knockouts of Vince in 2007. It is the best it's ever been. It's the deepest it's ever been, and we have so much potential with this now that I don't know that the rebranding won't hurt. Like, it won't hurt. It can only help. I don't know how much it'll help. I don't, but I know it'll help some because so many people still believe that this is the name of the company. I don't think Impact failed the way Global Force Wrestling failed as a name, but I will say that I feel like them not changing the name of the show, which is Impact, hurts. At least trying to establish the new brand name. I think they cared more about the TV show name than they cared about the promotion's name. So changing it to TNA Wrestling should help that. This was one of the Eric Bischoff moves that was started. Bischoff started referring to the show as the company name. You know, he famously in 2011 changed the TNA branding to Impact Wrestling branding, even though it was still TNA. And I forget when the official changeover happened, because I want to say it didn't happen. Did it happen in 2015, 2016? And then it went to Global Force, and it went back to Impact. Was that how it went? Oh, I'm gonna have to look this up. Marcus, while I look this up, what is your initial takeaway about this?
I was surprised, but like very even keeled about it. And then I seen a video, and then I sat back and watched the full show, and then went back and watched the video again after I watched the Bob of Glory in its entirety. And like you said, it's an interesting move to make right now. The company, like you said, maybe the hottest it's ever been, and that kind of set me, I kind of sat back and thought on it, thought about it. And it's like, you think about it in a lot of ways. The saying goes, you can't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. And there's another adage going like, if you stand in one place and 10 years go by, you haven't grown or evolved in that amount of time you wasted that entire amount of time. So I feel like a lot of times you do have to go back to go forward, but because of where the company was or whatever thing that happened, they needed to do the opposite. And they did. They went forward ultimately to get back to where it all started. And it's got a more cut, very genuine and passionate speech that you would have to be kind of a soulless a-hole not to feel something, even if you're not a TNA person. Like you talked about, like when they went there came there 6 years ago, like it was, it was absolute in the dumps. And, they had to bear down, grit their teeth, and really, keep their head down and put the work in for almost a decade to build back brand trust, loyalty, build back up the roster, and just put out a consistent product. And despite all the history that's come along with it. So I feel ultimately, on the night, it just feels like a good full circle thing that on the night where you know uh they honor the two men that defined that particular brand, uh came, the two voices of a generation, inspired an entire generation of fans, is the night they ultimately bring back the brand itself. So felt like the wrestlers was happy about it. Like I said, that video was interesting. Shout out to Frankie Kazarian for whatever body of water that was that he fully submerged himself in, um for that video. And it felt like the fans kind of like caught off guard for a second, and then they chance rang out, and it felt like a real just good moment. Felt like a reward for all these last, almost like I said, like a decade of the work that they had to put in, and now they finally get to take all that positive momentum and put it back into the brand that had been just used, abused, and ultimately tarnished by just a profound and confounding level of mismanagement for years. So yeah, just feels good, man.
I'm very excited about it. especially if it comes along with a change to the overall set design. There are supposedly rumors, right? And that's all they should be, because I can't find independent verification about this. Somebody posted it on Twitter and then sourced it to ImpactWrestling.com. I don't know why Impact would tell people this, but a rumor, allegedly, with the biggest grain, like Marcus, in Cleveland, we have a salt mine. We farm it from Lake Erie, so we can have salt for the winter. And so that means between like September and November, August, July, you'll see mounds of salt being built up in areas around the county and the state. So the ODOT and people who clear the roads can go and access it. The mounds reach 2 to 3 stories tall, so like 20, 30 feet tall, right? That's how much salt I'm asking you to take with this rumor. So it's a little bit. Just a little bit. The rumor is that the tunnels are coming back. And Marcus, I'm telling you what, you want to, reduce possibility of fans, like let's say you run a 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 seat venue. Maybe you're worried that you don't sell out. You want to know how you limit that issue? You put 2 different stages on each side. Cuts down on the number of fans that you can get in there, but it also reduces the number of seats you need to fill. So it wouldn't be the worst idea.
I'm potentially titillated, but you know what's coming with that, right? Instantly. You know what's coming with that.
You are my destiny. You are the sun.
They're ripping off AEW.
Well, listen, I don't give modern mainstream wrestling fans much credit for being intelligent. They watch AEW and WWE religiously. They think Seth Rollins is a good character, when all he really is a C-tier Batman villain come to life that I don't think anyone really wants. We lie to ourselves. Oh yeah, Seth Rollins is great. Is he? Is he? Or do you just buy the hype? Then you got AEW. They don't know which way is up. They don't know who they're booking in the main event, on any given day. So like,
Yeah, you're right. You got to use that same amount of salt that you asked me to use with the level of seriousness that you take them. Because this is also the same group of people that thought AJ Styles stole his finisher for shit.
Yeah.
Oh dear God.
Yeah. You're not wrong. This is the same group of people that thought AJ Styles somehow got quote unquote better in New Japan. That thought AJ Styles was finally a quote-unquote star in WWE, without even realizing why was AJ Styles a big enough name to warrant going to New Japan or WWE in the first place. It's stupidity. So when you look at the rumors around, it seems like a lot of it might be going back. And listen, if they go back to the 2 tunnel sets on each side, that's a great idea. What I'd like to see them do is get creative with the ringside area. And if you've never seen it, check it out, Karate Combat. They have these fight pits with walls that are sloped downward. So like if you get hit into it, you're kind of more angled upwards. That might be very interesting for a wrestling event. Having like a padded area with tilted sides that go, I guess, that would make an obtuse angle. I think would be very interesting, especially for the X Division, to utilize, because it would allow you to have essentially leaned back crash pads for you to dive into. If they did something like that, that could be interesting. Now, obviously, I would like to see the 6-sided ring come back, because it brings back things like the 6 sides of steel, which is one of the hallmark staples of Impact, TNA, specialty matches. So there's a lot of possibility that comes with this name change. Now, that being said, I will say, unlike many others, you and I both, have acclimated to the Impact name. And by the by, I figured it out. 2002 to 2004 was NWA TNA, then it became TNA in 2004. Then it was TNA until 20. I think they said 2017 when it became Impact. And then in 2017 it also became Global Force Wrestling. And then also in 2017 it went back to Impact Wrestling. And now it's going back to TNA. So it's been 7 years since TNA has been their official name.
Yeah, man. So it got thick. It got thick, and they needed to, like I said, it had been so misused, abused, and ultimately tarnished that they needed to get away from it. To your point, they just leaned into the show name, and which also why wasn't too, I guess, disparaged about this because like every other show has this show name, but then the brand is something else. So it only, feels like getting back to the last piece of the puzzle. Like they had to build a Christmas tree back up from the root, and they got all the lights and everything on it, but they didn't have that topper. And I feel like getting back to that brand name, those three letters is that topper. Whether it's this, David's daughter, Angel, you need that topper. So, um, looking forward to it. Like you said, they got the updated logo, uh, a tweak, not a complete, overhaul, which may be what we're seeing with some of this stuff. Very excited about the potentiality of the tunnels, but to your point, take it with a grain of salt. I'm also looking forward to potentiality of maybe getting back some pyro, you know, because it felt weird all them years, you know, uh, post a certain era where Kurt Angle didn't have pyro and AJ Styles didn't have pyro. Um, they done a good job with this particular era with the lights and how they, shoot certain people and whatnot. But I think elevation in that regard would help a lot too. Also, getting to your point about being used to the Impact brand, I got used to these doggone titles, particularly the World Championship. I'm like, man, this is a really good looking title, and it had to grow on me. Not at all too different from their big gold belt, which you tweeted about. Like, if they bring it back TNA, you got to bring back the TNA, the big TNA World Heavyweight Championship. We're also partial to those listening of the OG TNA wrestler and the Eagle belt, but
Mm-hmm.
the big Kahuna belt also grew on us. But then I'm like, okay, now this sucker done grew up on us, and we might be getting completely new designs. So it's like, oh man,
So for me, I was never a fan of the big silver TNA title with the TNA moniker on it and whatnot. I preferred the Eagle belt that first was introduced.
yeah,
So when they brought in this one in 2011, I think, I never liked it. If that one stays buried, that'd be great. Because Moose brought it back, and I was like, why'd you bring back that one, Moose? That one's not cool. I don't like that one. I like the original. But that's just me being a fanboy. As far as the belts go, they are going to have new ones. I don't know if they're going to just be rebranded belts, like same designs with different company logos, or if they're going to go full on and change them over. We'll see. It's certainly a possibility. Um, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to what happens at Hard to Kill, which is going to be at the Palms Casino Resort in Las Vegas.
looking forward to that.
So we'll see what happens there. My hope, if I could have one, my hope is that AEW and TNA do one more partnership because Sting announced that he's retiring this March or this April or whenever they have that show. He said he was retiring, and if they could have Sting do one more match in TNA, I think that'd be wonderful. But that is a hope of hopes. Marcus, we've done 90 minutes, give or take. 95 minutes. I have nothing else left to say. Do you? Is there anything else on your mind that you want to mention before we head off?
Oh yeah, we mentioned it talking about that great main event between Alexander and Shelley, but also he's getting towards that time of year where probably start thinking about wrestling fans and we start thinking about their matches of the year. Definitely had one on this show. Uh, Hands down, the Osprey Bailey. But and I don't know, maybe you could put Alexander Shelley in there as well, as a second. But definitely, and Chad mentioned this, definitely go back and watch that Frankie Kazarian and Eddie Edwards what it killer impact match.
Mm-hmm.
That match was that match was clutch. That was just some good shit. It was just some good stuff, man. Um, and really the way that's how you execute and culminate a feud, you know. So yeah, definitely go back and watch that because that's definitely match of the year contender right there.
Now, I would like to believe, and I'm going to choose to believe, that Frank Kazarian got chopped so hard by Eddie Edwards that Eddie broke Frankie's skin. I want to believe that. I need to believe that. So I'm going to. I want to believe that Eddie chopped Frankie so hard he drew blood on his chest.
He he had to play. He might have broke a blood vessel, uh, which I would imagine is the point. But if that match, and somebody put this on Twitter, like that match is the example. Like if you're gonna do chops, this is how you do chops.
Yeah. You want to get chopped? Come on. Let's get chops.
Oh,
All right, so that'll be it for this week. I think we'll be back. Let me check some. All right, so next Monday is the 30th. We'll talk about Sting's retirement, Brock Anderson. Hopefully, we'll remember to get to Brock Anderson being a free agent because I'd like to see Brock in Impact, especially if he brought his pop arm with him. We'll talk about that. Hopefully, we'll talk about the Sting retirement. We'll talk about Halloween. Halloween's gonna be the day after. Should be fun. I'm excited for it. You should be excited for it. It's a fun holiday. It's a holiday not a lot of countries celebrate, and it's a country we should all be celebrating. So, with that said, we'll be back next Monday for another edition of the Wrestling Underground podcast, probably with a new look. Maybe not until January, or until I remember to actually do it. Be sure to check us out at the website, realnerdcorp.com, REALNERDCORP.com. We're on Twitter at NERDCORP. Marcus, you can be found on Twitter at ParadoxKid, PARADOXKID.
that's me.
You can also find him on his other podcast, The True Penny Show, TRUEPENNYSHOW, True Penny Show. I think I spelled that correctly. You can find them on Twitter at True Penny Show, and they update their shows via Twitter, so check them out. You can find me on Twitter at Chad Nerdcorp, CHADNERDCORP, and on the internet, Chad's photo at CHADSPHOTOHUT. I need to update my Instagram because it's been like a year and a half. And I have so much stuff I want to share with the world. Mostly just wrestling. What's that?
I'm about to say, have you been taking a lot of photos?
I have. Yeah, I'm still taking them. I'm just not posting them.
I got you.
So I got to do that probably tonight, or maybe sometime this week, or maybe next month, or maybe in 2026. You can find us, of course, on twitch.tv/Wrestling Underground and youtube.tv or youtube.com at The Real Wrestling Underground? Or The Real Nerd I don't know. I got to update all that stuff. Just Google Real Nerd Corp. You'll find us. So for Mark Green, I'm Chad Porto. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for giving us a chance. Remember, to always watch more wrestling. And Marcus, take us home.
Good night.